In the endless void of space, far beyond the edge of our solar system, where time seems to lose its grip and the cosmos stretches into cold eternity, Voyager 1 continues its silent journey. Launched in 1977, during an era when disco music filled the air and the internet was little more than a fantasy, this spacecraft has defied every expectation. It was never meant to last this long, yet here it is, still alive, still whispering to Earth from over 15 billion miles away. Powered by a fading radioactive generator, Voyager 1 remains the most distant human-made object, its faint signal captured by NASA's Deep Space Network. But now, nearly 5 decades into its voyage, something has changed. Something no one saw coming. Recently, scientists monitoring Voyager's data stream noticed something inexplicable. The spacecraft began transmitting a strange signal, one that didn't conform to any known pattern or function. At first, engineers believed it was a malfunction, perhaps a failing telemetry system or aging circuitry playing tricks. But what emerged was far more unsettling. The signal wasn't random, it had structure. It repeated in loops of binary code that, while initially meaningless, soon began to show signs of intention. Even more baffling, the data was being routed through a system on Voyager that had been dormant for decades, presumed dead and inaccessible. No errors had been flagged. No commands had been sent. Somehow, Voyager 1 had reactivated a defunct subsystem and started transmitting through it, bypassing its usual communications channels. This wasn't supposed to be possible. Built-in fail-safes should have prevented it. The spacecraft, operating autonomously with no live control, appeared to have made a choice. And that choice raised a storm of confusion and concern. What could prompt such an event? Was it an internal fault, or something external? When engineers regained partial control and restored standard telemetry, the data coming back was different, disturbingly so. The spacecraft's instruments, though aged, were still sensitive enough to pick up environmental changes. What they began reporting were unprecedented energy fluctuations. Magnetic field readings that danced unpredictably. Plasma waves behaving in ways never observed in interstellar space. And most disturbing of all, embedded deep in the returning data, was a rhythmic pulse. Not noise. Not cosmic interference. A consistent beat. Intentional. Artificial. Official statements downplayed the implications, citing potential data corruption or hardware degradation. But leaked internal memos hinted at panic. A group of researchers working quietly behind the scenes compared the pulse pattern with known signal structures. What they found was chilling. The pattern resembled an encoded handshake protocol, the kind used in communication between intelligent systems. Not random. Not natural. And definitely not the kind of signal expected from empty space. To verify the anomaly, NASA turned to artificial intelligence. They trained a machine learning system on Voyager's entire archive, decades of clean, known telemetry and background readings. The AI filtered through millions of data points to isolate the irregularities. When it finished, the pattern was undeniable. This signal, whatever its source, bore all the hallmarks of intentional encoding. And worse, it wasn't the first time. Digging into historical transmissions, scientists found faint echoes of this signal in old data, years ago, brushed aside as static or system hiccups. But seen in light of the recent transmission, those forgotten fragments formed a chilling timeline. Like breadcrumbs scattered across the stars, they traced a path back to a specific region just beyond the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's influence ends, and true interstellar space begins. Something, it seems, had been waiting there. This wasn't just a momentary glitch or a data quirk. It was a pattern emerging slowly over years. The deeper NASA looked, the clearer the picture became. The data wasn't coming from Voyager alone. It appeared as though something out there had noticed the probe. Perhaps even responded. Was Voyager 1 still operating as a passive scientific instrument, or had it become something more? A messenger? Or a target? Among the scientific community, the discovery sent shockwaves. Whispers began to circulate. A Nobel laureate reportedly called the signal eerily close to the type of structure predicted by theoretical models of non-human intelligence. Another internal analyst remarked that the energy disturbances resembled the effects of passing through an artificial energy field. The idea was quickly dismissed publicly, but behind closed doors, the tone was changing. No one could say exactly what Voyager had encountered, but everyone agreed. This was not business as usual. Now, the world watches and waits. NASA, under pressure from international agencies and the public, prepares a formal statement. But with every passing day, the signal persists. The rhythm, the pattern, the pulse, it continues. As if answering. Or calling. What lies beyond the stars has always been a mystery. But for the first time, it seems that something beyond them might be looking back. If Voyager 1 has indeed made contact, then history has already changed. A lonely probe, launched with a golden record and a handful of hopes, may have opened a doorway into the unknown. And as humanity stares into that vast cosmic silence, one question remains. Are we truly alone, or has our oldest traveler just found the proof we feared, or hoped, might be waiting in the vast emptiness beyond our solar system? Voyager 1 continues its voyage through a region of space we once believed to be cold and empty. But new data suggests that this assumption may have been deeply flawed. That region, once dismissed as a cosmic no-man's land, now appears to be home to an energy field unlike anything we've ever encountered. It pulses, it shifts, and it reacts, ever so slightly, to the presence of the spacecraft. As if Voyager didn't simply wander into the unknown, but into something that had been waiting. Watching. And now, it's starting to respond. Among the most baffling discoveries surrounding this event is one that could challenge the very laws of physics. When engineers applied Doppler shift analysis and checked the synchronization of Voyager's signals, they found something that shouldn't exist, a delay. Not the kind caused by distance or hardware lag. This delay defied trajectory calculations, as if Voyager 1 had crossed into a region where time itself bent out of alignment. One of the hypotheses quietly passed around inside NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory is unsettling, that the spacecraft may have brushed against a temporal boundary. A zone where time and causality behave in ways we can't yet understand. This theory isn't wild speculation. Voyager's onboard clock, an instrument that has remained steady over decades, registered an unexplained shift in milliseconds. Not enough to make headlines, but enough to raise alarms among physicists. Time dilation usually results from high speeds or gravitational pull. But Voyager wasn't accelerating. It wasn't near a massive object. So what caused it? Some believe the probe encountered an anomaly in space, a pocket of energy or a gravitational ripple that distorts time locally. If that's the case, the implications are staggering. Because what Voyager recorded might not be a snapshot of the present. It could be a fragment of the past. Or even a glimpse of something yet to come. And then there's the golden record, the symbolic message from Earth carried on board. A disc of music, images, languages, and greetings from our world, sent with hope but little expectation. For decades, it was seen more as art than science, a gesture of optimism rather than an actual attempt at communication. But suddenly, it seems more than symbolic. Because embedded deep in the recent anomaly, within the pulse Voyager transmitted, was a tone. A frequency almost identical to one used in the encoding of the golden record. It wasn't background radiation. It wasn't chance. It was precise. A mirror. A reflection. As if something had received our message and was replying, using our own voice. If that's true, if Voyager was found, then the silence that followed becomes even more haunting. After the anomaly, after the strange energy readings and rhythmic signals, Voyager's data returned to normal. No further pulses. No disruptions. Just standard telemetry, as if nothing had happened. But many inside NASA believe this was no malfunction. The silence is not the end. It is part of the message. Whatever is out there revealed only a sliver, just enough to provoke curiosity without giving away everything. Just enough to show that we are not alone. It's possible that the entity or force Voyager encountered didn't want to overwhelm. Maybe it wanted to observe our reaction. To test us. To see how we respond to the unknown. And in doing so, it left us with more questions than answers. Why now? Why after decades of nothing? Has it been listening all along? Watching as our civilization advanced, waiting for the right moment to say hello? Or was Voyager just unlucky, an uninvited guest that wandered too close? Regardless of the motive, the encounter has changed the way scientists look at the cosmos. There are now areas of deep space that are being reclassified and re-examined. Data once dismissed as static or noise is being reviewed with fresh eyes. Artificial intelligence tools are being deployed to comb through every second of Voyager's journey, in search of patterns we might have missed. The sense within the scientific community is unmistakable: something has shifted. A boundary has been crossed. And the universe is no longer silent. Voyager 1 has always been humanity's furthest ambassador, a message in a bottle cast into the galactic tide. But maybe the message was found. And maybe, just maybe, the reply is already on its way. The real mystery isn't whether we've made contact. It's whether we're prepared for what comes next. Not a dramatic invasion. Not flashing lights in the sky. But a quiet, deliberate awakening. A signal disguised as a whisper in the dark. A gentle question echoing back across the stars. Are you ready? What Voyager encountered may never be fully understood. But one thing is certain: something noticed us. Something answered. And now, we must decide how we respond. Because the silence we're hearing now might just be the pause before the